Wow, you're so well behaved this morning, I hardly know what to think. Usually when I ring my gong and it's almost like it's inaudible out there, everybody keeps on talking and milling around and stuff, and I kind of like that, really. I like unruly sometimes, but eventually I have to get attention, and today you were just so good. It was like all the kids sitting in their chairs getting ready to say, "Good morning, Ms. So-and-so," or whoever the teacher is. You know, we as little kids, little Catholic kids, if the priest would come to visit our classroom, some of you may have remembered this from your childhoods, we'd all stand up and say, "Good morning, Father so-and-so," you know. That was our training. Yeah, we didn't salute, but we stood. Anyway, good morning. Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Mary Marie Shelton. I'm the community spiritual leader here. Oh, well, thank you. And good morning to those of you who are with us online this morning. No, we aren't a bunch of crazy people, but we sometimes appear that way. We're delighted to have you with us this morning as well. Thank you for being here. So now that you're so well behaved, get up and mill around and be rowdy. Say good morning to each other and welcome one another. Introduce yourself to anybody you don't know. Those of you that are at home, take a moment to welcome yourself. Pour another cup of coffee or take a little jog around the living room, and we'll be right back to sing in just a moment. Good morning, Jet. How are you? Good. It's chilly, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, we have Daniel Nahmad with us this morning on video. We've been spoiled a little bit lately because we've had live music quite a few weeks, but this week we have Daniel coming to us from Southern California. And I think we've sung this song before with him. As you know, we've been having Daniel do this for years now, helping us out this way. And he actually has been up here several times and he loves us. So stand and sing this morning with Daniel Nahmad, "God You Are," and the words are on the screen. So you'll get it quickly, it repeats.
Hello, my friends at Golden Gate. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. Daniel Nahmad down here in Orange County. Great to be with you this Sunday, and let's open with this song that we can sing together. You ready? God, you are every mountain. God, you are every ocean. God, you are every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every morning. God, you are every midnight. God, you are every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything Great job. Good morning. See you in a few minutes.
All right. So now that was a rousing start, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and silence your cell phones so they don't ring or buzz or beep during the service. You can just put them on vibrate, that's fine. And we're going to take a moment now to really turn within and get ourselves centered for the morning celebration. So our practitioner of the day, Marilyn Letzos, is going to pray us in now.
So coming right into this moment, this one moment in all eternity, and being completely present in this moment right now, I know all there is God. God the good is all there is. That power, that presence, that love, this presence, this heart beating it right now. The life force itself, that which knows everything, because it is everything, it is everywhere. It has created everything out of itself, continues to create all, and abides in every atom of its creation. So it is impossible to be outside of this power, to be outside of this love, this infinite possibility. And I know with every fiber of my being, this is the reality of my being. And as this is true for me, it is true for everyone. And as I return home within myself, I remember who I am. And again, this is available and true for everyone who so chooses. I am part of God, as is everyone. And when I retreat from the noise and the confusion of the outer world and come home to that reality within, everything changes. This is the shift that changes everything, from the outside to the inside. And there I am, there everyone is, to the level of our choosing. Thank God for the power of choice. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Marilyn.
Standing in an unfamiliar place, halfway around the world from whence I came, seeing sights I never thought I'd see, as distant from my roots as I could be. Still I'm home, still I'm home, still I'm home. When I'm lying in bed and crying myself to sleep, too bereft to even pray my soul to keep. When I'm wondering, will I ever see the sun? When I'm worried that the worst has just begun, still I'm home, still I'm home, still I'm home. 'Cause I know I'll make it through, 'cause I know you're here with me. Despite appearances, this experience is just part of my story. And I know I'll be all right if I don't hold on too tight. Someday soon I'll see this will only be a distant memory. I know I'll be alright if I don't hold on too tight. Someday soon I'll see this will only be the faintest memory. 'Cause there's nowhere on this planet I can go. No, there's nowhere off the map that I can roam. There's nothing I could ever say or do. There is never separation from you. Still I'm home. 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 Thanks.
You know why he's still home? Because he can't get out. This is a closed system. I don't mean the universe, I mean the presence of the infinite. It's always there. And we're always a part of it in expression, which means that we're not ever separate from it. We're not ever alone, no matter where we wander, no matter how out of place we might feel. We're still at home in that sense that we're always within the one. We're always connected to the one. And then in essence, we're always connected to everything and everyone, not just here and now, but all those who ever were or ever will be. Several years ago, Reverend Dr. Edward Phil-Yun and his husband, Kevin, were in Bali or India or someplace like that. And Edward had been wearing meditation beads, you know, like Buddhist or Hindu meditation beads, just because he thought they looked cool. He wasn't actually using them for anything. And they encountered a monk who said, "Oh, you use your prayer beads, show me." And he thought, what mantra could I say? How do I? And Kevin quickly said, "Oh yes, we say there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is whole, complete, and perfect, and that life is my life now." And so they did that for him on the beads of the meditation. And there was a conference gathering in which we all had these beads. They had given them to us as part of the conference, and Edward did the whole series. He led us through the whole series, and we did that on every single bead. There's only one life. Say that with me. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is whole, complete, and perfect. And that life is my life now. There is something to saying that out loud again and again and again with a group of people who are not just saying it by rote to repeat it, but listening to and meaning the words that they're saying. It's one thing when we do it individually, it's something else when we do it collectively. It raises the vibration of the space and the consciousness of the people in it incrementally. And I like to think, too, that there are myriad God-realized ones in the unseen, those who have come into awareness either while they were human or something else or wherever it is or whenever it is they are, and that they join with us whenever we lift consciousness, and they support us to do that even a little bit more. So this morning, we're preparing for our new month of March. And the theme for the month of March is cultivating peace during change. I almost made the theme cultivating peace during chaos. But I thought, maybe that's putting a certain judgment on the experience that I don't really need to project onto it. What we know is that we are experiencing change, but that's nothing new. Change is the constant. Change is what we're always experiencing. There isn't one thing we can look at in this space, including ourselves, that hasn't changed. If you don't believe me, try going back to wherever you were born and raised. It's not the same. So, they say you can never go back home again. Well, sure you are, because you never left it, really. But the place or the people may look unfamiliar or different, but it's still home. And no matter where we go, there we are. We're carrying home with us. So as we're looking this month at the process of being in the midst of change, then the question or the challenge that arises is, can I come into peace in the midst of the unknown, in the midst of possibly the unpredictable? Can I come back to peace in the midst of my own fear and discomfort? Because, see, the point of it isn't that we find peace and then we just hang there. If that were the point, we wouldn't be in physical form. If that were the point. The point isn't that we find peace and then we never leave it. The point is that we learn how to come back to it. And we learn how to come back to it sooner. And we learn how to come back to it deeper than we have been before. And to practice that, close your eyes for just a moment and know with me, suspend your disbelief for a moment, and know with me that within you somewhere right now, there is peace. There is a place that recognizes what that letting go place of contentment feels like. Wherever that is within your body or your consciousness right now, even if it's just one cell, just draw your attention to that. A place of contentment. A fearless place of ease, of love, of forgiveness and peace. Now breathe into that place and then open your eyes and breathe into it again. It's a little more difficult with our eyes open because there are so many things to perceive and be aware of from a sensory perspective. And this is a lovely balance of being human, that our task is to return to peace again and again, even in the midst of all the sensory input that we're receiving that wants to drag our attention off this way or that way. And it's just fine for us to put our attention on this sound or that sight or this thought, and then to unstick ourselves from it to allow more to present itself. When we get stuck in any particular sensory experience, we lose the input that the universe is bringing us about everything else and about peace, which somehow underlies all of it and permeates all of it, even when it seems least available to us, and we have to close our eyes to kind of find it again. Today we want to especially remember that there is one thing, and only one, that is absolutely changeless, and that is the divine presence. That is the one, spirit, the mystery, George, whatever you want to call it, that nameless, million named energy, intelligence, beingness. If you could, and there are moments when we do, and sometimes many moments, if you could just breathe and be without evaluating, without analyzing, without judging, without thinking, just noticing, just present, just noticing. That part of you that does that, that's the presence, that's the witness. It's always part of us in a way that we identify as me. This is my awareness, this is my consciousness. The thing is, my awareness and my consciousness that I'm using is the same one you're using. It's just that as it flows through me, it seems like it belongs to me. But all of us are sharing that awareness, that space of being. We're all there. So that is true of us now as we live the lives in these spacesuits. But it was also true of us before we got here and came in wearing these particular ones. And it will still be true of us when we leave these behind. And so I want to give you a sense of that connection today with the one thing that is changeless, because that is where peace and faith rest as we look at changes that are good or unnerving or confusing or celebratory or difficult. Because for sure, in this year, you will experience all of those things. And that would be true if we were in a completely different world in form. It would be true because that's what form does. And so, in the way that form does this, we want to honor someone who's been part of our congregation, who just recently made his transition. And this is Don Woods. Now, those of you that have been around for some time probably remember Don. He was the husband of practitioner Susan Zitron Woods, that some of you have held very dear in your experience. And Don was living up in Seattle, I believe. His daughter gave permission for us to have this information and pass it on to all of you. And so we send him on his way with love. But he hasn't gone far. I was going to go get him, but no. Actually, he's probably already here because we have invoked his presence with love. That soul now is no longer wearing his particular spacesuit that we recognized, or that particular name and history and personality, and yet he's also taken the essence of that with him into the infinite experience. Whatever that may look like or be for him. And yet what he leaves behind with us is memories. Memories for those who knew him and remember him and Susan. So it is a certain celebration for us to say, he passed away peacefully in Seattle after a brief illness, with his daughter Raven and his niece Cammie at his side. Now, he was active here for many years, and after Susan's passing, he lived in China teaching English to Chinese university students. In recent years, he traveled to Chile, Mexico, Portugal, Thailand, and he was living in Seattle recently, where he also had many friends. He is remembered as a warm, loving, caring man. He was intelligent and curious about life. One could always count on him for an interesting and passionate discussion. He was incredibly loyal, an unforgettable friend to many, and so caring to Susan during her illness. So he will be missed by many, including his daughter Raven, who lives in Los Angeles, and his sister and her family who live in Alaska. So we send Don off with love into that next expression of life. In a world mesmerized by appearances, busyness, conflict, disagreements, strong opinions, protests, grumpiness, demands, refusals, disagreements, rejections, and beauty, miracles, healings, joy. I mean, really, wouldn't you be mesmerized by all of that? Sometimes we get so focused on one thing that we might miss what's really important. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson had gone on a camping trip, and after a lovely dinner and a good bottle of wine, they had retired for the night to go to sleep. And some hours later, Holmes woke up and he nudged Watson. He said, "Watson, look up and tell me what you see." "I see millions and millions of stars, Holmes," replied Dr. Watson. "And what do you deduce from that?" Watson pondered for a moment. "Well, astronomically, it tells me that there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I observe that Saturn is in Leo. Horologically, I deduce that the time is approximately 3:15. Meteorologically, I suspect that we will have a beautiful day tomorrow. Theologically, I can see that God is all-powerful and that we are but a small and insignificant part of the universe. What do you see, Holmes?" Holmes paused and then said, "Oh, Watson, you idiot, someone has stolen our tent." We find ourselves as human beings focused on different things based on what's important to us. And that is a good thing, but it also means that sometimes we miss things that are also important, just not in our frame of reference at the moment. So when we become mesmerized by appearances, and it's easy to do, as we've discussed, then we have to make a choice. Do I decide that I'm going to fall in line with the rest of what's going on and the general opinions that are going on and anchor myself in that place, in that opinion? Because if I do, I'm going to have a lot of company. I won't be alone. I won't stick out. I'll be supported. But I may also lose something in that process. So the question becomes, do I want to fall in line, or do I want a different experience? Now, what would be the point of my being here in form if, for my whole life, my choice was to go along with wherever the crowd is going? That sort of never has been me. And I suspect it probably hasn't been most of you. People who wind up in a New Thought church are not likely to be high conformists, it seems to me. Which means that getting us all together is often like the proverbial herding cats, Everybody's going off on their own in a different direction. That has advantages too, because we bring things back to the whole. In some of the old native traditions, when a young shaman was initiated, or maybe they're not even young, in some tribes you can't even be considered to be a shaman until you're over 60 years old. But going through a shamanic initiation separates someone out from their tribe or their clan or their crowd. It separates them out and gives them a unique experience. Now that experience is transformative for them, which is amazing for the individual, but it also puts them right on the edge of life and death often. When they come back from that, they're in a different space, and they are initiated not for the purpose of their own transformation, but for the purpose of their transformation in the service of the larger community. They are then meant to be a conduit, a guide, a connecting point with the infinite. And so those of us who find ourselves in an unconventional sort of religious community like we are called upon too to venture forth from our little circles into the unknown, to be the seekers, the curious ones, the pioneers, the inventors, the discoverers, the experimenters. And in that process, we may find ourselves alone. We may find ourselves questioning whether to get quiet and fall back in line, or keep on seeking in the direction that we're going and bringing that information back. It's not an easy choice for us to make. It requires a certain amount of conviction and courage to do that, and a certain amount of commitment. If we stay in a particular flow that's comfortable for us, what we may find is that we're with a group that is more or less impotent in terms of creating anything new, but we're comfortable because we know them, they know us, and we can expect what's going to happen along that line. If we launch out into our own independence, we might have more ability to impact things, but we also have to deal with the ramifications of that. I was listening to a podcast this morning that was talking about the woman just before Rosa Parks, who was told that she had to get off the bus and go back around to the back entrance. And she'd already paid her fare. This was, of course, a black woman. So she argued with the bus driver, but he insisted. So this was in Selma, Alabama. This was before the original Selma-Montgomery March. So she got off the bus to walk to the back, and he left with her fare and drove away. This is part of what contributed to the bus boycott that happened there. And in order for people to get to work without taking the bus meant that they had to find cars to take them, they had to find taxis, they had to find some other way they could get to work if they couldn't walk there, and that took money. So this young woman who worked for a baking company, she decided that she was going to make food and sell it. And that's what she started to do. And so other people started to join her to sell food, to raise money for this transportation that they needed. And they managed to do that to support that bus boycott. So that things could change, so that there could be a new legal ruling about this segregation. And I don't remember her name, which is really frustrating me right now. I want to say Harriet, but I don't think that's right. But she's the one, you can look her up. She was the one that was put off a bus before Rosa Parks said, no, I'm not moving. But those two women, that's what caused this, that's what set this into motion. Now, she got fired from her job. See, there were consequences to not just keeping quiet and going with the flow. There were consequences to it. But those consequences set something in motion that changed the world, her world, in the United States. It's now, we're in this, the Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times? I think really human beings always live in interesting times for them. They may look like boring times to somebody later when they're looking at it historically, but for the people living it, it doesn't look that way. So John Lubbock said, what we see depends mainly on what we look for. So when we're looking for a sense of safety and security because things feel insecure, then it's easier to look for a place to fit in that's safe, that's comfortable and familiar, and doesn't rock the boat and doesn't challenge our assumptions about things. Deepak Chopra says, in the midst of movement and chaos, keep stillness inside of you. Well, we've demonstrated how challenging that is to do already this morning. Keep peace and stillness inside of you. I think probably keeping it is unrealistic, but returning to it again and again, being in practice of returning to it, that's doable. And that stillness, I think, is what calls to us now, that says this peace, this stillness is of God, which means that it is in you and around you, even when your senses are not finding it and taking it in. So it is an act of faith to turn toward that presence and recognize that it's more than the physical. It's more than the appearances. It's far greater than any of that, and it's always there. always dependable, present. Carl Jung said, in all chaos, there is cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. But if it's secret, that means we don't see it. We have to find it a different way. Turn it off for a second, Jim. It's so slow. Yeah. Rabindranath Tagore, who was the poet laureate of India, said, "Faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark." Faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. In our world today with such complexity, it's time for us to live from that. Because if we can't live from that, or if we won't make an effort to live from that, we don't have anything to cling to or grab hold of to help us come back to that centered place of peacefulness within us. Deepak Chopra also wrote in a book with Menas Kafatos, every day our actions exist on the cutting edge of evolution, the frontier where the mind is caught between caution and curiosity. The mind is caught between caution and curiosity. As people of faith, the curiosity needs to be stronger than our desire for security and caution. What I find is that if I'm invited to try something and it's something that I feel uncomfortable about, I feel like I'll look stupid trying to do it, I won't be very good at it, or that it scares me. And so I pull back from it. If it's something that isn't truly dangerous for me, at least not in any big physical harm kind of way immediately, and I pull back from it, there's this argument going on inside of me. Part of me really wants to try that and participate in whatever that is and experience that. And part of me doesn't want to look dumb or is afraid I might do it poorly or I don't know what. Just doesn't feel comfortable trying it. Do you know what I mean? But that tug of war inside me, there's part of me that if I don't do whatever it is, that part of me will feel regretful, like I missed something in prioritizing the caution over the curiosity. Now, admittedly, there are places where caution should win. Don't get me wrong. Before I ever had my son, I was interested in maybe trying skydiving. I thought, that seemed kind of cool. Has anybody in here done skydiving? Woo, good for you. I never did do it. And at that time, my father-in-law, who was a retired Air Force colonel, I had said something in conversation at their house once about, I thought that would be fun or something like that, and he started laughing. And he said, well, Mary, there is something inherently dangerous about jumping out of an airplane. Well, after my son was born, I never wanted to risk it because I figured I wanted to be around for him. For me, I thought, oh, it'd be exciting, be worth giving it a try. But after he was born, I didn't think so, not so much, because there was just enough risk involved that I might not be around for my son, and I didn't like that idea. And those of you who are parents, I'm sure, can relate to that. So there are no guarantees, you see, that's the thing. When we decide to take a risk, we are going to experience fear and discomfort. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, "To overcome fear is the greatest adventure of the mind of man." That's a big thing to say. To overcome fear is the greatest adventure of the mind of man, encouraging us to not let fear stop us. I like to tell people, fear just lets us know that something is important. We shouldn't think of it as a red stoplight necessarily, but as a flashing yellow. Caution, pay attention. This is important. It's not like all is safe, go for it. But it's also not like death is ahead, stop. It's not that. It's more of a warning. Hello, pay attention. Emerson, who greatly influenced Ernest Holmes, Ralph Waldo Emerson, said, "Your own mind is a sacred enclosure into which nothing harmful can enter except by your promotion." When we think about people who went through the Holocaust, that horror, and came through it sane and balanced, there aren't a lot of people who could come out of that trauma that way. The ones who did that seem to have done something inwardly to get themselves to the next moment and to the next day, and to be resilient somehow, and to persist in living in spite of the actions of everybody around them trying to make sure they didn't survive. Being made of the same thing as these people, we have in us an ability to move with fear rather than against it or away from it. We don't have to resist it and push away. We don't have to run away. We don't have to freeze. We have another option with fear. And that is to come back to center, right there in the midst of it, to be able to look fear in the face and say, "You don't get to decide for me. I can feel afraid and still take action. I can feel afraid and still be effective." There is, so this is a question with that airborne fish here. Is this a risk worth taking? Because from the angle, it looks like the fish may make it into the other bowl, but maybe not. What if that fish gets right to the edge and then falls? That's the end. This fish has made a choice to leap from the relative safety of a very sterile environment where there are others towards something that looks like an enriched environment but appears to be empty of other life, at least other fish life. Now that might be true, but we don't know that for sure. And still this fish is airborne. Airborne. So the question is, what happens if there are no guarantees? What happens if it could be successful or not? If it might fail, is it still a risk worth taking? We find every athlete that competes, like every Olympic athlete, but even little kids that compete, it's a risk, but it's a risk they want to take, even though they may not win. Their team may not win, or they may not win. They could even come in last. Would that be humiliating or embarrassing? It depends on what they decide to do with it, what they decide to think about it, how they decide to treat themselves. So there is that risk. At one time, in the Northwest Native American tradition, there was a teaching story in which the young person says to the elder, "What do I do when I'm lost in the forest?" And the elder says, "Stand still. The trees ahead and the bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are, it is called here. And you must treat it as a powerful stranger. You must ask permission to know it and be known. Listen. The forest breathes. It whispers, 'I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again, saying, here.' No two trees are the same to Raven. No two branches are the same. If what a branch or a tree does is lost to you, then you are surely lost. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you." So somehow, stillness is called upon when we need to move in an unfamiliar place or an unfamiliar situation. Stillness can give us that equanimity to act from, rather than, just a knee-jerk, spontaneous reaction that might cause us more trouble. There was, during the Vietnam War, a rainy night when a man named A.J. Must stood in front of the White House, which he did night after night, holding a candle, a lit candle. And this he was doing on this rainy night again. And a reporter said to him, "Mr. Must, do you really think you're going to change the policies of this country by standing here alone at night with a candle?" And Must replied, "Oh, I don't do it to change the country. I do it so that the country won't change me." What a profound thing to say in the midst of what was going on in that chaos, that he wanted to find a way to stand in honor of his inner self and to stick to that no matter what the world around him told him he should be doing or needed to do. To allow himself to stay in a place of balance, in a place of vision. This isn't easy to do. So the question comes to each of us, and not just us here, but everybody, everywhere, always, but particularly to us right here, which is, which path do we choose? And we never choose just once. We get the option to choose again and again and again. The universe keeps bringing us that opportunity. So which shall we choose? Do we choose the crowd with other frightened, powerless people? Perhaps. Or do we choose the changeless infinite, which is always present, always guiding us, always offering us the opportunity again and again to choose? Fewer people, but passionate to be engaged, to make a difference, to be present for something. The choice is always ours, again and again, moment by moment. And so I'm going to share a Cherokee story with you in conclusion. And this is an old story, and you probably have heard it differently than this. An old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. "A fight is going on inside me," he tells the boy. "It is a terrible fight, and it is between two wolves. One is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." And then he continued, "The other is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too." And the grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The old Cherokee replied, "If I feed them right, they both win. If I choose to feed only the white wolf, the black one will be hiding around every corner, waiting for me to become distracted or weak, then jump to get the attention he craves. He will be angry, always fighting the white wolf. But if I feed him too, both wolves are happy, and we all win. The black wolf has many qualities: tenacity, courage, fearlessness, a strong will, and strategic thinking. I have need of these at times. The white wolf has compassion, caring, strength, and the ability to recognize what is in the best interests of all. You see, grandson, the white wolf needs the black wolf at his side. To feed only one starves the other, and it becomes uncontrollable. To feed and care for both means they will serve me well and do nothing that is not a part of something great and good, something of life. Feed both, and there will be no more inner struggle for attention. And when there is no inner battle, I can listen to the voices of deeper wisdom that will guide me in choosing what is right in every circumstance. Peace, grandson, is the Cherokee mission in life. The one who has peace inside has everything. One who is pulled apart by the war inside has nothing. How you choose to interact with the opposing forces within you will determine your life. Starve one or guide them both. There is only one thing that is changeless, only one. But it is ours. It is in all of us. The changeless. That's where our peace is. And that's what we want to come back to in the midst of change. Namaste. Thank you. Now let's take a moment to go ahead and anchor this in consciousness. As we turn within, we recognize that there is only one. And it is all there is, in everything, in everyone, all the time, no matter the appearance. It is connected to everything, and everything is connected to it. We are that in essence. We are that in manifestation. Each one of us individualized. We are not individuals, but the individualization of the one. And so all of the one is right where we are, in us and around us right now, in this chilly room around us and under us and above us, all around us, the one. So I know and declare for each one of us that this one is powerful, clear, strong, and is a guiding force that leads us deeper into peace, even in the midst of chaos and changes. And so we follow that presence of peace, even when it calls us to stand up and take a risk, we still are grounded in that presence, because that is the lasting part of us that always was and always will be. We connect through our breath to this one right now. Taking a deep breath, we anchor our consciousness to the presence of peace within us. We allow it to move us through fear into action in large and small ways in our lives this week, always calling us back to peace, calling us back to the presence, the one, the changeless. We're grateful to know that this is who we are. We're grateful for the creative law that brings this more and more into our awareness and experience. We're grateful for it for ourselves and for all of us here, right now, in this moment. So we accept this goodness, we value it, and we anchor it in our awareness, in our consciousness, and we let this prayer go into the creative law and into the heart of the divine mystery, where it always has been the truth of who we are and how we are known. We let it go, and we let it be to be exactly what it is. And together we say, and so it is. Yes. Would the ushers please come forward, and let's stand and say the morning affirmation together right now as they do so. God is all there is. Knowing that, I realize that all form changes. Spirit is the unchanging reality, no matter what. My essence is that, now and always. And so it is. Thank you. You may be seated. This is our sacred offering time. So if you're online with us today and you'd like to make a donation to Golden Gate, we would love that. And you can do that by texting the dollar amount you want to give to the number on your screen and then just following the directions. For all those of us here present in the room, some of us give automatically, others bring their tithes into the room. Whatever it is that we're giving from today, we want to bless the gifts, all the gifts Golden Gate has received in this past week and right now this morning, gifts of time, talent, and treasure. So if you're giving it, hold it to your heart, and if you're not giving this morning, hold your hands over your heart anyway, because you are the gift. As we say this giving affirmation together, this blessing. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time, and so it is. Go ahead.
I'm through asking where I'm going. I've been asking all my life. I've grown tired of all this wondering when everything seems to turn out right. So when my mind needs something to do, wants to know the future, I whisper this: I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. So here goes nothing. I'm taking a chance. I'm opening up, knowing that I'm in good hands. And here goes everything. It's all on the line. Oh, but I'm not afraid this time. Some say it's crazy, some say naive, to close my eyes and take the leap. But I know better, 'cause I believe, even in the dark my soul can see. So when my mind plays its usual games, oh, my answer is always the same. Yeah. Here goes nothing, I'm taking a chance, I'm opening up, knowing that I'm in good hands. And here goes everything, it's all on the line. Oh, but I'm not afraid this time. Here goes everything, it's all on the line. Oh, but I'm not afraid this time. No, I'm not afraid this time, 'cause I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way.
So, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, we do, all of us, accept this offering, and we send it out into the world for a greater experience of peace everywhere it goes and everybody that encounters it, for them. And so it is. If you happen to be with us for the very first time today, I want to draw your attention to the info table back here, the welcome table, right behind this section, where Galen is waving back there. There's all sorts of information on the table. Feel free to pick up any and take it with you. And please be sure to get a welcome packet. And when you open that welcome packet up, inside there's a blue card. If you fill that big blue card out and give it to Galen, she's going to give you a little book as our thank you gift for being here today. And also, it's really secretly also an invitation to come back and be with us often. We look forward to getting to know you. And I want to take this moment, too, to acknowledge all of you who were here this morning putting up chairs and tables and decorating and getting the food ready to go out and all of those things. The Frost family did this lovely altar this morning that expresses the process of change. Everything that's growing was a bulb or a seed at some point, but now it's manifesting as a flower. Eventually, those flowers will go, but they may bloom again, those same bulbs and seeds, in the next season. So the change is happening, but there is a continuity of life going on at the same time. So we want to thank and acknowledge the Frost family and everyone who was involved in getting this place put together so beautifully for us today. So let's thank them all. So for those of you who have a birthday in March, I'd like to invite you to stand so we can sing you a happy birthday. Yes, we have more March people. We have been missing March people. Selma, aren't you going to stand up? Oh, February. Okay, happy February. That's right. All right, so for you all, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear March. Happy birthday to you. Also, very, very important announcement. I want to make sure that you get even before you think about the spring hike. Next Sunday, listen to me now, this is important. Next Sunday, we go back to daylight saving time. So please, on Saturday night, remember to turn your clock forward. Turn it ahead. We're going to lose an hour of sleep. Some of you will find yourselves wandering in here at 11 o'clock, I know, thinking you're here for the service, but I am saying this loud and clear. Saturday night, turn your clock ahead so that you'll be here on time for the Sunday service. So you might miss the whole thing, and that would be terrible. Now, the Wildflower Spring Hike is beginning on Monday, March 10th. That's next week. And it's going to be at Mount Burdell in Novato. You can RSVP your intention to come because they wouldn't want to leave without you. So if you do RSVP, then for heaven's sake, show up. But you're going to RSVP in a text either to Steve Einhaus or Deborah Irwin. Would you two stand up so they know who they're... Oh, okay, send it to Steve. Forget Deborah. Text your RSVP to Steve with your name, of course. Don't just say, I'll be there, so that he looks at a number he doesn't recognize and go, okay, great, who are you? Text him your name, okay, too, when you tell him you're going to be there. And there will be more spring hikes, but this is the one that is coming up a week from tomorrow. Also, we are going back to the food bank the next day, March 11th. So that's a week from Tuesday, from 12 to 2. That's all, just 2 hours. Please contact Ellen Nicosia if you'd like to participate on that team for the month of March and let her know that before March 4th. So what's today? March 2nd. So you need to let her know by when? Tuesday. Thank you very much. All those of you who are paying attention and counting the days, I really appreciate that. Now, we have a number of opportunities to serve coming up. I want to bring up Karen Frost to tell you not about the snacks, but about one I don't have a slide for. And then we'll talk about snacks. But there are 3 areas that teams are wanting to welcome you in, and Karen's going to tell you about one of them.
Is this live? Oh, it is live. How exciting. Don't step off the platform. No. Okay.
It just felt uneven there. I'm fine.
So, as Reverend Mary said, that the Frost family did the altar, and I happen to be part of that Frost family. And I want you all to understand that this is an area of service that is open to anyone who would like to do it. We happen to have a sign-up sheet, very cleverly. And so there are these boxes on this sign-up sheet for the 4th Sunday of every month. That means that's an opportunity for you to do it. And you can just sign up for one. You don't have to sign up for all for the whole year. But if you put your name on here, that means you get the opportunity to bring something in. By knowing that you're going to do it before the month starts, what that means is when Reverend Mary sends out the affirmations and the themes for the whole month, you get them. So one of the joys for me and my family is that I share it with Randy and Bridget, and we sit there and we read the meditation, we read the affirmation over together, and we pray and we see what it means to us. And then we bring together what we think that it means to us, and we bring that together and share it with you. So it's a time that I get to share it with my full family, not just with you guys. So I find it to be a very wonderful service for both my family to be able to join together in meditation and in group prayer and thought about what we would want to share and what does that affirmation mean to us. And this affirmation that we had just read was about God is all there is and God is the full change. As Reverend Mary says, we brought flowers to represent the change of that, but we also brought forms of God and many different forms of religion because it's all one God, it's all one love, it's all good. So that's the reason why we did that. So you have the opportunity to do that as well. So put your name on any box. If you have a particular Sunday that is very near and dear to your heart, there's this other side where there's just blank lines, because I can tell you, myself and Leslie, we would be wonderful if it's your birthday or if it's your anniversary or if it's a special day to you. You can have that Sunday. We will step aside and let you take that and share your heart and your love and whatever is important to you with everyone here. So thank you.
So this is one of your opportunities to serve, and so is healthy snacks. If you bring snacks on a particular Sunday, you just have them plated and ready to go, take them into the kitchen, and they'll put it out on the table when it's time. You only would be doing that once a month. February's over. March, April, May, 3 times. So that's an easy one, and there's a sign-up sheet back on the activity table for that. And then we also have openings on the Sunday hospitality team. That's what I call them. They're the people that greet you, that collect the offering, that put the food out and and clean up afterwards. And that's also just once per month. You can talk to a greeter this morning if you want to find out more about that, and they will let you know how that works. Now, it's interesting. I had a conversation recently with somebody who was telling me about literally going around asking people to participate on one of these teams. And she said, "You'll never guess why they said no." She said, "The people that I talked to who said no is because they don't want to have to come before 10 o'clock. I was amazed by that. And that's, for me to be amazed by that as a non-morning person, that's really something. But I remember speaking in Russia at a conference, a Science of Mind conference, a number of years ago, 2001 it was actually. And there were people there. Now, we were northwest a little bit of Moscow, all right? Soviet Union, no. Russia is like 12 time zones. It's huge, 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 huge. We had people come by train from the west coast, from Vladivostok, to where we were. It took days and days and days. And they came to this conference because someone told them they would like it. It wasn't like any big earth-shattering thing that got them to do that. And I think, gosh, we don't even want to come to church early. Putting it in perspective, it's like, wow, think about that kind of commitment. So if you don't want to come before 10 o'clock one Sunday a month, just question that unwillingness just a little bit. Just a little. That's all I'm saying. Just question that a little bit. Also, our annual meeting is coming up, and that'll be after the service, so you don't have to worry about that. It'll be after the service on the 23rd of March. We'll have a little nosh so that nobody has to go away hungry, and the meeting usually lasts around an hour. We will have it in person, but we'll also have availability on Zoom for those of you congregants who would like to attend the meeting and aren't local or just can't get here that day for some reason. So be sure that you participate in that. We're looking forward to it. And it'll be starting as close to 11:30 as we can once we've had a little nosh, okay? Also reminding you one more time, this coming Saturday night, what are you going to do? Set your clock forward, yes. All right. So, and finally, prayer. The prayer box is available to you this morning and always, and you can request prayer also from the website. So I'm going to invite now the practitioners to stand and enfold us in consciousness as we prepare for the end of the service. And this is, dozens and dozens and dozens of decades of service, all these people, if we added them all up. So we go in right now together in consciousness and know that these practitioners are knowing this with me, with you. That in the one life that is whole, complete, and perfect, we exist. We use that mind of God. We use that experience of presence because it's what we're made from. It's our own essence. Knowing this, I claim a week for us in which we are reminded inwardly and gently but clearly to return to peace. Whenever we're feeling rattled, to come back to that peaceful place of ease and contentment and focus. Take a breath and then step back into our lives. The more we do this, the more we are grounded in the truth of our being, which is peace, peace, peace. So with gratitude, we claim it for ourselves and each other, and let it be now. We let this prayer go into the law, and together we say, and so it is. Yes. Please stand now and join us for the closing blessing and song. Together, I now walk. Together, I now walk, so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness, for spirit and all people and I are one eternally, and so it is.
Hey, it's been great to sing for you again today. We've sung this song together a few times. A song called Witness. Thank you for having me, and hope you have a fantastic week ahead. Here we go. A couple of deep breaths. This day is a witness to my sacred purpose, to all that I'm meant to be. This day is a witness to my sacred purpose, to all that I'm meant to be. Letting it in, letting it flow, letting it go where it will go, letting the power of your presence show the way, letting it in, letting you know, I'm letting you lead, that I might follow, being a witness to your presence every day. Here we go, this soul is a witness to my holy purpose, to all that I'm born to be. This soul is a witness to my holy purpose, to all that I'm born to be. Letting it in, letting it in, letting it flow, letting it go where it will go, letting the power of your presence show the way, letting it in, letting you know, I'm letting you lead, that I might follow, being a witness to your presence every day. This life is a witness to my rightful purpose, to all that I've come to be. One more time. This life is a witness to my rightful purpose, to all that I've come to be. And now the heart of the matter. Yeah, I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love for all my life. Again, I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love for all my life. Again, I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness to your love. I will bear witness all my life. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Bye.